Did you find where all the, yes, you did. Okay. And you found a cat.
And I found a cat.
All right. Can you see the broadcast and how it's sort of cutting the top of my head off? Yeah, we need to. Oh, what is this?
There's
What
a
is this?
belly.
What is this?
There's a thunderbell.
So Dunder discovered, quite by accident,
Beauregard.
Beauregard here, which we're gonna scan this up just a tad. There you go, Mr. Beauregard. That can come. Oh, why is we're not seeing the? Oh, it's still not quite up far enough to see the star sign, but that's okay. All right, because we have a wondrous neon star sign that is here that you sometimes see in the episodes, and we're just not seeing it tonight. But that's okay.
It's also cut over
By the giant squid. Oh my gosh, a giant squid. So this was a week. So it's been kind of 2 weeks. So I was down in Huntsville for a business trip, and then I came back for a couple of days, and then I was back down to Tampa for another business trip, and then we got back, had a day where I worked mostly from home. And we took off that evening for Richmond, Virginia, to go to a convention. And we got back just a couple hours ago and semi-unpacked. But of course, since we were going to a convention that was science fiction fantasy convention, we had to bring the cocktail kit. So, I still don't have anything really unpacked from the cocktail kit. And then we discovered that there was a package of cocktail stuff that had arrived. So, we get to talk about that. And we get to talk about what I did down in Tampa. And we're going to make some drinks. So that's sort of the plan for today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good. Hopefully this is coming.
Now I have a mic.
Yay! Hopefully this is coming through. Looks like it is. We've got Dunder. We've got Greg.
We have
got
Dunder?
We've got
Hey Dunder.
We got a Hey Dunder from Elizabeth. We've
and
got Greg.
Dawn,
We've got Dawn.
who is currently making plans to be in the studio with his lovely wife in the studio audience
and
in
we've
June.
got Matt.
Mr. McIntosh.
Yay,
Yes,
yay.
yes.
And so I did notice that Greg is on. Greg, I'm not ignoring you. It's been crazy, and I haven't had a chance to give you a call back.
Right.
But I will. I promise.
Yeah.
It's been nuts. So one of the things I got to do while we were at the convention was sit down and have a conversation with Warren, who we hadn't seen.
Right.
I think we saw him at last year's, but I wouldn't swear to it.
I don't know.
And if we did, we didn't really have a chance to chat.
Right.
But Warren has gotten really into scotch and whiskeys.
Yes.
And so I thought, in honor of getting a chance to actually chat with Warren and talk to him a little bit about scotch and whiskeys, that we might want to break out the only Scotch Malt Whiskey Tasting Society rum that we have.
Right.
And this we split with our good friend
Bruce,
right? You can tell I'm great on names, right? The oldest friend, what is his name? We saw the name of this, and it's a Jamaican rum called Dunder the Sea.
Yes.
And we've tasted this before when Bruce was on the show, but we're going to do it again.
Yes.
And just as a toast to all of our friends, both present and absent at the con that we were at, which is RavenCon. RavenCon is held annually down in Richmond, Virginia. It's a relatively small science fiction fantasy convention. Skews a little on the literary side, but not insanely so.
Yeah.
And we just
couple good panels, some good conversations, some stuff at the dealer's room.
Yeah, you brought back artwork.
I brought back artwork.
Yeah. So it was all a good show, as it were. Yes. So here's to finding good science fiction fantasy conventions in the area that we like to attend, because some of them are very different than the kind of convention that we're used to in the Midwest. And RavenCon and MarsCon feel very much more. Balticon actually does too, but Balticon's kind of a.
And Balticon's a hit or miss. It kind of depends on who's there.
And it's a bigger thing. Yeah. It's more of a thing to do that.
We like Capclave, but it is much more geared towards authors.
Right. And budding authors, right? People that want to be authors, sometimes shouldn't be, but here we go. We're going to toast to all our friends. So there were a couple of our friends that were going to be at RavenCon and for various reasons wound up at JordanCon instead.
Right.
So this is also a toast to them.
Yes.
So here's to all of you. Oh, good
yum,
Jamaican.
Yum.
And we discovered this is Worthy Park, as I recall.
I think so.
Yep. And it clocks in at a whopping 66.9. 0.9 is important here, I guess, as opposed to calling it 67% alcohol. So this is quite hot. Yeah, that's cast strength-esque. That's quite yummy, though. It is. What is that note? I mean, it's typical of your overripe bananas. There's a smoky quality that comes on the back of it. It's hard to describe. I get almost a chocolate note from this, a toasted kind of chocolatey note to it, which has nothing to do with what it actually says is in here. You should be picking up exotic fruits and seawater. And I'm like, yeah, no. Nope, sorry. I'm not getting the seawater. I am getting some of the exotic fruits. Oh, there's sort of a stone fruit. No, so stone fruit would be like apricot or peach. This is more like guava or papaya flavor to it. And again, when we say that there are these flavors in these rums, it's not like, oh, that tastes like papaya. There's an element of the esters or the olfactory component that is reminiscent of mango or papaya or guava or whatever that fruit is. Not that there's actually flavor of that, because there aren't, right? So what are we going to do? This has been, the last couple of weeks have been very much a work and trying to switch life into the and portion of that. So what we thought we would do on the way back from the con, while we were thinking up ideas for this, we decided to do a rum and episode. So this is an episode which is going to feature a couple of drinks that still feature rum as their primary spirit, but split the base between rum and something else. And here we're going to go with a bourbon, we're going to go with an Irish whiskey, and then we're going to go weird and go a rum and gin blend, which, let's give it a shot, right? Let's see where we wind up here. So first of all, just wanted to say hi to everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And, it's been a whirlwind, baby. What should we do first? We should make a cocktail first. I think that's the right thing to do.
I think so.
So the first cocktail we're going to do is actually the newest cocktail, and this comes to us via the Total Tiki app. And pretty much everything I know about this cocktail comes from the Total Tiki app. So, all kudos to Beach Bum Berry and his app. This is called the Punky Monkey, right? And this is a cocktail that was originated by Joaquin Sims in about the 2008 period while he was working as a bartender for Death and Company in New York. And since we are getting a Death and Company in the district where the old Columbia Room used to be, I thought that this would be a particularly appropriate cocktail. Also, it features a very unusual ingredient, but one that I use quite a bit here, you just don't know it. And that is cardamom. The cocktail actually calls for taking 5 green cardamom pods and muddling them as a starting spot for this cocktail. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to take a small shaker tin like this, and we are going to find ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one was kind of small. So let me go ahead and go 6. Besides, I like cardamom. Product of Guatemala. So while we were at the convention yesterday, Star was wearing a T-shirt that said straight, gay, wibbly wobbly, sexy wexy, and had like check marks for each one, or check boxes for each one, and the last one, timey wimey, sexy wexy, had been checked. And she got so many compliments on that shirt. Oh my God, it was amazing how many compliments she got on that shirt, to the point where I was almost getting jealous. And then today I threw on this guy, which has got the Cthulhu, the sort of green tiki-esque thing going on, and I got all the compliments today. So it all works out. As long as we both understand it's all about each one of us, we're good, right? Mm-hmm. It's all good. All right, so what do we need to do? We need to take and muddle these. Now I'm actually going to use this end of the muddler to try and break up the cardamom pods. I just want a nice flat edge to that. Let's see if we can do that. Crackle, crackle. Just break these cardamom pods up. There we go. You could also do this with a mortar and pestle and just toss it in there, and that would also work. All right, so there we've got our cardamom pobs. And now we need a ½ ounce of some sort of sugar syrup.
So Amanda says to cue the song that has the same number of syllables. Punk monkey, that punky monkey, punk monkey, punky monkey.
That would be a reference to Brass Monkey, a song by the Beastie Boys, who were mentioned this weekend by new friend, who's a huge Rush fan, so of course we bonded over that. Goes by Syrinx, and I saw the name Syrinx, and I went, Temples of Rush fan, and then we were talking, so it all worked out. What am I putting in here?
And Matt says, we use that song for every song under the sun. Thanks for letting us know it's not just us.
Of course not. Beastie Boys. We love the Beastie Boys. I love the Beastie Boys. All right, we need a ½ ounce of simple syrup. I could go to the back and get just a plain old ordinary simple syrup, but the thing that I have on hand is my pineapple oleo. Words are hard today. I don't know why. So we're going to use our pineapple oleo, and I need a ½ ounce of that. And most of my jiggers happen to be in my cocktail kit. That's funny. I'll unpack the cocktail kit a little bit while we're while we're live. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. While we're live. Totally scripted shows. Haven't you noticed? These shows just absolutely, they just scream, I'm working from a script and editing these afterwards to make them smooth. Yeah, okay, maybe not. Now we need a ½ ounce of lemon juice. So freshly squeezed lemon juice. That one says lime. This one says lemon. Let's go ahead and go with that. So ½ ounce lemon juice. Matt, you're commenting. I can see you, but I don't know what you're saying.
Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm.
Matt and his wife went up to New York to go see Depeche Mode, which I believe is what he is quoting currently, right? Am I getting that correct? Okay, so now we have lemon, we have some form of syrup, and we have crushed up cardamom pods in here. Now we need a ½ ounce of pineapple juice. Now the original recipe specifies fresh squeezed pineapple juice. Do not use commercial pineapple juice. Look, we're coming back from a convention. I don't have time to go grab a pineapple and have my wife juice it and do all that sort of thing. So no, we're going to use commercial pineapple juice out of a Goya can because we can. Sometimes you have to take shortcuts. There we go. There's some pineapple juice. That goes to the side and will be eventually drunk by my wife because, well, that's what she does. The recipe calls for Scarlet Ibis as a rum, and I do not have the Scarlet Ibis. Ibis, I've never known how to pronounce that word. It's a bird, I-B-I-S. You would think, how many pronunciations of ibis could there be? Apparently there's at least 2, and I use both of them. So instead of the Scarlet Ibis, the recommended substitution is Angostura 1919, which I always have a bottle on hand of this rum because I think it is a fantastic example of a pretty solid Spanish style column still rum with some character to it that isn't, Bacardi, right? Which I don't mean to sound like dismissive of Bacardi. There's Bacardi 10-year right here, but the Bacardi 10-year that I really like is more expensive than the Angostura 1919. Yeah. So solid, good rum. I do want
to say I was able to distinguish type of rum, style, some characteristics on a blind taste that Pooch gave me. So I'm even learning something.
Yeah, so I had a flask with me this weekend that I carried around a little bit, and that was filled with a rum, and I did not tell Star what it was, and she was able to pick out a number of good characteristics of that rum and was quite sure that it was a Spanish-style column still rum, and she was absolutely right. It was Florida Cana 12-year. The Florida Cana 12-year has a really smooth aging, which I think threw her off a little bit because she thought it was younger than what it was. But that's just a measure of, I think, the longer aging time on the Florida Cana 12 actually pulled some of the heat out. And usually you associate heat with a younger rum, but that's not always true because the heat comes from the alcohol content. But the longer it stays in the cask, the less that alcohol content is really burny. So yeah, that's just, it was a hard one.
And
it was a solid call on Star's part, right? I mean, she knew it was like, this is not a pot still. This is not a rum agricole.
This is not a blend.
This is not a blend, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else did I go?
Elizabeth says
rum. Yes.
Go Star Go.
Go Star Go. Yep.
And Amanda says that she is going to Depeche Mode in October, and Matt is consider seeing them again.
I'm going to scoot over here because I need the top to my shaker. That's not all that's going in here because this is a session on rum and so we have our 1 ounce of rum in here. We need the and the and in this case is going to be bourbon. So I'm going to go ahead and reach for a bourbon, and I do not have a great big collection of bourbons, and so this one specifically calls for 90 proof or above bourbon, and the only 90 proof or above bourbon that I own is the Woodford Reserve sort of standard bourbon. So, this bottle has been opened, but I generally don't use it because when I'm using bourbon, I'm usually either drinking bourbon straight or drinking something like an old-fashioned where I want a really high-quality bourbon in that particular cocktail. And, Woodford Reserve is a solid, better than well bourbon, but it's not the bourbon I'm going to reach for those kinds of cocktails. But for a mixing, absolutely perfect. So we are going to go 1 ounce of this. By the way, the recommended for this cocktail is Buffalo Trace 90 proof. Yeah, I don't have.
And didn't you have some?
So, yeah, we had a... it wasn't Buffalo Trace. It was High West.
Yes.
I think it was High West that Warren gave us a taste of. That I don't think was to Star's taste liking, but I liked it very much. It was aged in new oak and then aged in, I think it was like a stout, a barrel that they had aged stout. No. Oh.
Yeah.
Sherry?
Stout.
Sherry, and then the last one was finished in barrels that had been used to cask age Manhattans. So it was very strange. At the very end, you're like, wait, is that vermouth I'm tasting in there? And it was from the Manhattan barrel, which was just kind of blew my mind. It was a very interesting bourbon. Okay, what next? 1 dash of Angostura and 1 dash of Peychaud's. So here we have the Angostura bitters, and we're going to go 1 dash just like that. And then we are going to go Peychaud's and do the same thing. Just like that. There you go. That's what's going in this particular cocktail. We are going to throw some ice in here. We are going to shake this up, and then we are going to double strain this into a glass of pretty much our choice. Whatever we want to do. Oh my gosh, I can't do that because there's a box sitting on my box of ice. Oh no. What's this? Apparently when we came home, there was a box waiting for us. And it got a little damp. And so when it got damp, some of the packing peanuts actually shriveled, which I thought was strange, but okay. So evidently when packing peanuts get wet, they get smaller. They don't expand. I don't understand. Someone else can explain how that works for me. I'm going to have to turn off my automatic screensaver because it keeps coming up in the middle of the broadcast. But I wanted to give you, so it turns out that this box is from El Guapo, who brought us such fine bitters as the El Guapo barrel-aged vanilla bitters, the El Guapo Love Potion, Cuban, and Polynesian bitters. We really, really like El Guapo, and thank you very, very much to, was it Captain Gregory's that introduced us to them? I think it was. But The thing that got me interested was that, I mean, look at how well packed these are, right? So even though the box was kind of dying, these guys are fine. So we got fairly large bottles of these 3 things. Yeah, I know. You're like, dude, make the drink. No, hold on a second. So the box goes away.
Elizabeth says they're probably biodegradable packing peanuts.
Oh yeah, could be. So this is El Guapo's Creole Orgeat. So this is an orgeat made with pecans instead of almonds. So dying to try this at some point. This is their plain old ordinary orgeat syrup, which also dying to try. I was kind of hoping it would be shelf stable, but it's not, because I was looking for an orgeat that I could take with me on travel. But still, this is made with almonds, typical, and there's a classic Mai Tai recipe on there, so that's kind of cool. And last but not least, dun dun dun, El Guapo's Falernum. Oh, so this should be real interesting. I have not tried their Falernum at all. I have recently moved from using Dr. Taylor's Velvet Falernum to using the Golden Falernum by Bitter Truth. 3 for 3, by the way, on those. And so looking forward to trying some other Falernums as well. Okay, where am I? I am putting ice in here, right? Yep, putting ice in here and shaking. Ice and shaking. So there's a chunk here, like that. And then there's some smaller chunks here, like such. Yep, that'll work. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of the pebble ice to that. We're a little low on ice down here for some reason this evening. Don't know what's up with the ice maker. It'll be fine, I'm sure. We'll figure it out. So we're going to shake this up. This is the Punky Monkey. Really, really cold. Really cold on the hands. There we go. Now, what does that smell like? It smells like cardamom. Huh, big shock. Okay. I am going to, the instructions did not say to double strain this, but I am in fact going to double strain it just because, well, there's cardamom ick in there. And I don't mean that to be ick, but you know what I mean. There's chunks of cardamom pods in there, and I'm sure that is not what you want to be chewing on while you're having your cocktail. So we're going to take a strainer, a fine mesh strainer, and we are going to take our Hawthorne strainer, and we are going to do this. Dun dun da, dun da dun da. Fill up a coupe, just like that. That looks exceptionally yummy. Oh. Yeah, you can smell the cardamom off of that. That's pretty exceptional just from a smell standpoint.
The cats are investigating the packing peanuts.
The cats have thrown part of the plastic packing out of the box so that they can crawl into the box. So yeah.
Ah, okay.
It's very cute. It's very delightful. This is a cocktail broadcast, not a cattail broadcast. So. Oh.
So Amanda was glad that you showed her how big the large bottles are.
Yeah.
So that she knows to order the smaller.
These guys.
Bottle.
These guys. Yeah.
So
This is
small.
this is 8.5 ounce.
Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty tasty, actually. Not that I wasn't expecting it to be tasty, but that's actually really tasty. I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we like cardamom around here, but still, that's pretty nifty.
I'm not a big bourbon fan, but
no, the
that's
bourbon and rum work together in this very nicely. Yep.
Yep.
And I think anything higher than Woodford Reserve would be lost in here.
Mm-hmm.
Between the rum and the cardamom, yeah, you're just going to lose all the finer notes of your high-end bourbons. So I wouldn't even try to use a higher-end bourbon than that. I think this is... Do not knock over my recipe board. That would make it very hard for me to do the remainder recipes. Kittens. they've been on a tear since we got home. I think they missed us and want to show us just how active they can be. So you left this with me.
I did.
Okay, so this is apparently mine then. Okay, well that's fine. I need to do this then. So we've drunk some of that. There's a little bit, tiny bit left in the shaker. So that will go there. You know what you could do with this as well, which I think would be really nice, would be to take an egg white into this and then just put like a cardamom pod, because it'll foam up. You dry shake it, then shake it with ice. It'll foam up a little bit and then drop your cardamom pod right on the top of that. It's got pineapple juice, so there's a little bit of a foam, but I think a heavier foam on that would be really, really nice. Okay, so that goes over here because we're going to need that to get washed out. And then we should move on and talk about other things besides El Guapo. What else did we get this week? Oh, right, I went to Tampa.
What did you do while you're in Tampa?
So we were down talking with some military folks in Tampa. As you might expect, there's a military base or two. And while I was there with my team, with the team, it's not my team, it's a different team, but anyway, you don't care. While I was there with the team, I was only going to get to spend one night with the team for dinner. And so as a consequence, we decided that we would make the trek out to St. Petersburg to go to one of their local tiki bars, because the best tiki bar in Tampa, Burnt Ends, apparently didn't make it through COVID. So my plans to go to Burnt Ends were shut down, and instead, on various folks' recommendations and a lot of hunting around, we went to the Honu, the Honu, Honu, which is essentially is a sea turtle, right? And it's a delightful little outside bar and dining space. So you've got all the little tables sitting out under umbrellas, and then the bar itself is underneath a sort of thatched portion of the outside. Looks very nice. And then there is a small rum bar on the inside that is done up like a classic tiki bar, and I posted a bunch of photos to that. I don't know if I posted them to Lovecraft or to my personal account. Don't remember, but you can check those out. Did a little review of them. Really loved them. Had a good time. I ordered a Mai Tai, and the Mai Tai was very credible. It was a tinge sweeter than I might like, but that's, I mean, just a tinge. So that was quite acceptable. Presuming, I know the Jamaican rum in there was Appleton. I think it was probably the 12-year, but I could be wrong. It may have been the signature. And the Agricole was most likely Clement. That was what was on their menu. They had a fairly extensive menu of rums. They had, I think probably close to 100 rums on the outdoors menu. And I had like 44 of them. Most of the ones that I didn't have.
That you have at home.
That I have at home.
44 of them that night.
No. In terms of crossover between their rum list and my rum list, there were about 44 rums that we had in common, and some portion of their rum catalog are things that I've either decided not to carry or just don't carry for whatever reason. But anyway, their rum collection for their rum bar is significantly larger, boasting a collection of rums in the number of about 220, which is larger than my collection by a significant amount. Unfortunately, the rum bar is only open Friday and Saturday nights and only by reservation, and we were there on like a Wednesday, so much for that. Eventually I'll go back to Tampa and we will go out to the Honu and it'll be fine. But until then, I get to tide myself over by having, some Honu merchandise. So this is manufactured by Tiki Farm in 2021. The original carver was Patrick Vassar. And here we go. This is the Honu mug. You can see the little turtle right down here, making the O for Honu, right? And there's the Honu on the back. Yep, there you go. It's very cool. It's got a black glaze on the inside, It's a very nice little mug. It's not enormous by, usually you go to get the Tiki mug for the restaurant and it's just massive, like 24, 36 ounce thing that you're like, well, if I ever need a punch bowl, I got one, right? No, this one is perfectly usable for, a single person's, largish but still good cocktail. So, yeah, the Hanu Tiki mug, I like that. They had all sorts of merchandise. They had sweatshirts, they had t-shirts, they had shot glasses, they had a whole bunch of things. I wanted the Tiki mug, so we got the Tiki mug. This was also the first experience at a Tiki bar for the majority of the team. So I was very happy that it was a good experience for them. It seems to me like where I'm doing a lot of talking and not enough mixing of cocktails and or drinking, so I should move on to the second cocktail, which will by name seems appropriate since I am just sort of slowly crawling through this broadcast, because the drink's name is the Slow Crawl to Death. And that's what we're going to do now. And this cocktail is doing a split base once again. It's doing it with rum, dun dun dun. And the second thing the second spirit base is a pot stilled Irish whiskey. And they don't specify, well, actually they do specify. They specify the Redbreast 12. We are going to go completely differently from that because we just don't have a whole lot of Irish whiskey around here. We have some, and one of the ones that we really love is the Connemara peated single malt Irish whiskey. So that's what we're going to use today to mix with our rum on this particular cocktail. So this once again comes to us from Total Tiki. I don't really have a lot of information on this cocktail other than I believe there was some cocktail contest that this one won, or it was like there was a cocktail training class and this was their graduation drink, something along those lines. I don't remember the exact details, but if you have the Total Tiki app, you can absolutely look it up and it will be there. And if I haven't recommended the Total Tiki app enough by now, if you are at all into Tiki, it is a huge handy reference to have around for Tiki cocktails of whatever types and sorts you would like. So this also is going to be shaken, so I'm going to dash over to the sink and rinse out my shaker. Yeah. And then we'll get to mixing. I'm going to rain water down on Dunder, who's under my feet. Nope. All right, that's going to be needing to be cleaned a little more because it still smells like cardamom. So that's not going to work for us.
Luckily, you have additional shakers.
I have additional shakers, and I also have a wife that loves me and is willing to do dishes. So here we go. We're going to use Liquid Aloha, the Kona Brewing Company pint glass as our shaker. And this is a pretty typical cocktail shaker. Just does that pint glass over the larger shaker tin. All right, so what are we doing here? For the sweetener, we have an unconventional sweetener. There it is. And this ties in neatly with what we did on the way home, which was we stopped for brunch and we stopped at Cracker Barrel, and Cracker Barrel now serves maple syrup on their pancakes in these cute little bottles. These guys right here. And so we brought one of those home because I didn't use all of the maple syrup on my pancakes, which is great because this cocktail uses a ½ ounce of maple syrup as its primary sweetener. And their maple syrup was fine. I actually kind of liked it on those pancakes. Star was not in a pancake mood, so she was like, pancakes, ick. And I don't know that the maple syrup would have made it any better for her. So there we go, ½ ounce maple syrup. We're going to balance that with a ½ ounce of lime juice. Once again, you'll notice that I am using the sweetener first, and then I am going with my citric component, and that is to make sure that I can clear out the dregs of that syrup. I have found that I'm not sure that matters a whole lot. If you use the citric component first, it seems to coat the inside of the jigger a little bit, and so the syrup comes out okay, but I've just gotten used to doing it this way. We need a dash of Angostura. There's one dash of Angostura bitters. We need a dash of not Peychaud's. I'm sorry, we need a dash of orange bitters, right? Am I getting this right? No, I'm not. It's Peychaud's. It's the other cocktail that uses, okay, right? Ta-dum. There we go. There's some Peychaud's bitters. It's the last cocktail, right, that uses, is that wrong? Peychaud's. That says Peychaud's. I could have sworn that one of these cocktails is supposed to have orange bitters in them, but apparently I'm mistaken. Okay, so we need 3/4 of an ounce of our Irish whiskey. Could you use Jameson? Absolutely. Could you use Redbreast? Absolutely. But you know what? We don't have either of those. What we have is Connemara, so we're going to use Connemara. 3/4 of an ounce. Is this an expensive Irish whiskey to be mixing with? Yes. There you go. There's my answer. Yes. Do I care? Not really, because we like this enough that we're probably going to get another bottle eventually. It's not one that I necessarily feel like we have to have on hand, but it's good enough, right? Especially when we have people over that like Irish whiskey. It's very nice to serve them something that usually they haven't had before. Okay, so there's the Irish whiskey. Now we need 1 ounce of a gold Jamaican rum. Gold Jamaican rum? What the heck? I mean, I could use the Hamilton Pot Still Black because it's the same as the Hamilton Pot Still Gold. It really is. What else have I got up here that's Jamaican? Not a whole lot. The Smith & Cross I could use. Smith & Cross might, because it's overproof, it might overpower the cocktail a little bit. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, I could go higher end. Oh, I could reach over and grab a different, let me do that. I'm going to sneak over. Oh, let's just use the Jamaica. Jamaica's perfectly fine. Golden colored Jamaican rum. So here, Plantation makes the Jamaica. I've been quite happy with using the Jamaica. One of the very first drink that Martin Cate ever made for me, Martin Cate, owner of Smuggler's Cove, didn't make it specifically for me. He made it for a class of which I was part. The Mai Tai that he made used the Jamaican rum. So we're going to go ahead and do that. 1 ounce gold Jamaican rum. There we go. It's a different cork than what came with the bottle. That's why it's so tight.
Yeah, if your corks are weak, you can always substitute with.
I substitute your cork for a cork of my own, right?
Yeah.
That's how that works. All right, there you go. There's the Jamaica. And now we need an El Dorado rum. So we've got 3 spirits in here, 2 of which are rum, and 1 of which is the Connemara Irish whiskey. And the second rum, 3rd spirit in this cocktail, it doesn't have to be an El Dorado. It needs to be a Demerara rum, but the rum that they call for is El Dorado 8, and I just happen to keep a bottle of El Dorado 8 on the bar, so that's what we're going to use, and that's a full ounce of the El Dorado 8. And there is part of me that is wondering if that I am just completely not reading my recipe before I make the cocktail this evening, because they actually suggest that you don't shake this cocktail. They suggest that you stir this cocktail. So this should actually be stirred as opposed to shaken. So we're going to do that right now. We're just going to pour that right back in here. Dun, dun, dun. Easy peasy. We're going to throw some ice cubes in here, like that. And that. Well, this is going to work out fine. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to stir this. So we're, oh, excuse me. We are going to reach over, grab yourself one of your mixing spoons, and then just do this. So, it's been a while since I've done this. I haven't talked about stirring a cocktail in a bit. So there is an art to stirring a cocktail. You'll note that I am not doing this with my cocktail. That is entirely against the point. If you're doing that, you're breaking up the ice, which is not what you want to do. So you want the back of the spoon to be against the back, or to be against the inside of your mixing pint. And you want to run the spoon around the outer edge of the mixing pint, like so. I find it easiest to use sort of a push-pull motion. So I've got these two fingers on this side and these two fingers on this side of my spoon, and I am going to push and then pull and push and pull, and you will develop a nice smooth rhythm. You also don't want a very tight grip on the spoon. You'll note, because this has a death's head on it, you can actually see it turning, that death's head is actually turning in my finger grip. And that denotes sort of a light grip here where I can just spin the spoon to make sure that the back stays against the mixing glass. And that is what you're trying for. If you're doing this right, there shouldn't be a lot of sound coming from the glass. And you can kind of tell when you're done when the sound that you do have sort of drops a level. And the ice is just, then you know the ice is just moving around in the glass. Depending on how thick your glass is, you can also tell how cold it's getting. Here, this is moving really, really smoothly. I'm going to assume that that is cold enough. We will taste. Oh, that's quite delightful. Oh my. Oof. This is supposed to be served in a double rocks glass, ta-da, that has been filled with crushed ice. This is a very strange construction for this cocktail. That's a chunk. We don't want that. So this is going to go in here. Because again, I would have said, just looking at the ingredients for this cocktail, that it absolutely should be shaken. But apparently they don't want that much dilution on the cocktail originally. But then they're going to serve it over crushed ice, which is going to cause a lot of dilution. So I'm a little mystified as to the science behind all this, but you know, these are better cocktail minds than me. So we're going to just do this. Seems quite lovely. Very pretty presentation here. Now then, the slow crawl to death. The name of this was in fact inspired by the person that was making the cocktail, and they would get up in the morning and they would see these little tiny sea snails like crawling up the branch of a tree, and by the evening there were these shriveled little husks of them, so they'd climb up the tree and die because it was so hot. And so the slow crawl to death. Now so the garnish for this is specified as a lime husk turned inside out with some of the really tiny small snail shells put in it. We do not have little tiny snail shells. We do in fact have snail shells, however. We have great big snail shells like this one, right? So the slow crawl to death is going to be garnished with a large snail shell and a straw. And this straw is a red straw. It is glass. It is made by Surfside Sips. This has a wider diameter on it. I like using the wider diameter straws for the pebble ice. Smaller diameter straws, some of the times the pebble ice or crushed ice can jam up the straw. These don't do that. The guys over at Surfside Sips are making new straws seemingly every day with new styles. And Star pointed me at another one that is really, really cute that reminded her of the bowler from the movie Mystery Men and her implement of destruction. If you know the movie, you know what we're talking about. If you don't know the movie, you should be watching Mystery Men and not watching me. So here we go. If you want a straw like this, by the way, you can go to Surfside Sips, put in a discount code of LOVECRAFT and get some discount. And we get some kickback, which we then buy some straws with. So enjoy that. So here we go. This is the slow crawl to death. Star is going to absolutely hate that. Pretty sure. Well,
So Brooke says, Mystery Man!
I'm not sure.
Matt says, hey now, you're an all-star.
Get your game on. So actually, you might not hate this, but I think you have to wait for it a little bit. Yeah, but right at the end, there's this sort of peaty, not
Yeah.
quite scotchy note to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my guess is you probably would rather drink this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, she almost made the face there. Yeah. There's really very little sweetener in here aside from the maple syrup, and I could suspect that the maple syrup used by Cracker Barrel is maybe not the most potent in flavor. It was fine over pancakes, but maybe a higher grade of maple syrup. Don't know. I'm perfectly fine drinking this. This is definitely a much more spirit-forward cocktail than the One Star is now drinking.
Which is your type?
The Punky Monkey. Yes, and this is much more my type, especially since it's got a snail crawling around in it. So that makes it much more me. When we got the box from El Guapo, we also got a cheers card that just says, "Hey, congratulations on upping your cocktail game." But then we also got this sticker, which is an El Guapo sticker. And you can guess where that's going, right? That's going
yeah.
on the cocktail kit. Absolutely. But on the way home from Richmond, we stopped into an antique mart because we had a few minutes. And usually when you're at antique marts, it's like glassware and that sort of thing. Every once in a while, you find one that's got some tiki stuff in it. But I'd been looking for something just to hang outside as part of the tiki atmosphere. We've got some netting hanging. We've got a lobster trap. We've got a few other things out there in the back. We've got a great big barrel. But one of the things that I was lacking was, some sort of pulley or, block and tackle sort of system. And so they had a bunch of these at decent price available. This is actually quite heavy. I think that's mostly the hook here, actually. But so, there we go. We've got a little bit of decoration to go outside to spice up the tiki bar. I'm not going to throw this one because it's really heavy. So we're just going to set this over here. But so the next time folks come by, make sure you make some comment about the new pulley that's hanging up outside, presuming we get it hung up before you come over. So there we go. We've got 2 cocktails down. We've got the Punky Monkey. We've got the
Nice snatch block.
Okay. That sounds nasty, but that's okay. I'm sure it's perfectly fine. Yeah, I am definitely no engineer and do not know one end of a block and tackle from another or what their differences are. All I know is that's going to look really cool hanging up outside back. So there you go. What's the last cocktail we're doing? Or before I do that, is there anything else that I should be showing off? Anything?
Shot
Bueller?
glass.
Shot glass. Oh, the shot glass is not down here. Oh no. A couple years back, I had a pair of Cthulhu shot glasses, and I've lost one of them. And at the dealer's room at the convention, there was a dealer that was selling Cthulhu shot glasses. It's not the same as my original Cthulhu shot glass, but now I'm back to having 2 Cthulhu shot glasses, so I'm quite happy with that. I will have to dig it out and show it to you at some other point because it's in my yellow Cthulhu bag, which I didn't bring downstairs yet. So it's upstairs, and there's no sense in sending Star after it to upstairs, down the stairs to go, look, it's a shot glass. It's got Cthulhu on it. There, we're done. But there is good sense in, well, I don't know, making another cocktail. So when we were thinking about this, I wasn't sure what to do for a third cocktail. So we've got one that's made with bourbon. We've got one that is made with an Irish whiskey. So those are both rum and whiskey bases, which is actually not all that uncommon. It's not that uncommon to actually have a whiskey-based cocktail, tiki cocktail, like the Port Light or something along those lines. It's also not uncommon to have a gin-based tiki cocktail, but it is somewhat rarer to have a rum and gin-based cocktail. Now there are a few. The Fog Cutter is probably the most well-known, but there was a bar in Chicago called the Quarantiki. I think it closed in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. It may have made it to the 90s, but I'm completely unsure of that. And at this bar, they did a version of the Tropical Itch that is nothing like anybody else's Tropical Itch in the rest of the country. So their Tropical Itch actually combines gin and rum, and that's what we're going to do for this last cocktail. So the last cocktail is the Quarantiki's version of the Tropical Itch. So here we go. This one is in fact shaken, that I know for sure. So I'm just going to take this, rinse this quickly. I've got like 5 minutes to keep us on track within the hour, right? That's how this works.
Right.
We're gonna try. Okay, first up, for the sweetener ingredient, they say 1/4 ounce cinnamon syrup. Well, if you know me, you know that I don't keep cinnamon syrup on hand. What I keep on hand is a spiced syrup, which has cinnamon as its primary ingredient, but also includes other things like allspice and whatever this stuff is, nutmeg and star anise, and oh yeah, cardamom. So all of that is in this particular syrup. So we're going to go with a 1/4 ounce of cinnamon syrup.
We have comments from the peanut gallery.
All right. While I'm mixing, you can hit me with the comments.
What are your thoughts on Fucindo Exquisito rum from Bacardi, their new limited collection?
So the Facundo Exquisito series, I have heard really good things about. What I cannot tell you is whether or not it is worth the pricing. There is a world of difference between Bacardi's run-of-the-mill sort of line rums, especially their flavored rums, which are run through a series of very tall column stills, proofed to a very high degree, and are essentially in some ways almost at the level of vodka and then brought back down. So a lot of the character has been brought out of those and then added back in with the use of aging. That is not the case with stuff like their Bacardi 8, 10, 12-year collection and the Facundo collection, which the Facundo collection particularly is supposed to be extremely good, extremely well blended, and supposed to be just cut above. I mean, it is, if the 8 and 10 year are their entry points into the premium rum category, the Facundo Exquisito is supposed to appeal to the rum connoisseurs out there. I have not had the pleasure of trying, so I cannot tell you just how good it is, nor can I tell you just how good it is at its price point. But I have heard really good things about it, so that's kind of all I can tell you about the Facundo Exquisito. Yeah, I think that's right. Half ounce lime juice, by the way, is what we're putting in here. So 1/4 ounce of your spice syrup, half ounce lime juice. Lime jus. There we go. Stay. All right. What else goes in here? So the recipe, and we are going to totally cheat here. The recipe calls for 1.5 ounces of fresh mango. Not fresh mango juice, nothing like that. No, just fresh mango. We don't have any fresh mango on hand. What we have is mango nectar. And there's going to be quite a bit of a difference between a mango nectar flavor and raw mango that is mashed up. Part of that is going to be the amount. So if you were to take the full 1.5 ounces of mango that it requires and then use that in mango nectar, you are going to completely overpower this cocktail. So what I'm going to do is cut that in half. I'm going to go 3/4 ounce of mango nectar, because it's the mango I have on hand. There we go. I really do like mango juice, by the way. Question.
Matt says, if your tropical itch is anything like the tropical itch I've heard about, it should definitely be flammable.
Look, Matt, just because your tropical itch was a burning sensation doesn't mean this has to be flammable. How's that? 1 ounce of dry London gin. We are actually going to go with something that's a little bit different from a dry gin, and that is the Botanist. It's a dry gin, but the selection of botanicals is a little different. We really love Botanist. It's a little on the pricier side than, say, your Beefeaters, your Gordons, even your Bombay Sapphires, your standard run-of-the-mill Tanquerays, and that sort of thing. Even more expensive than Aviation, but it's a really nice gin, so we're drinking that. 1 ounce of dry gin. Could you use aviation to honor the fact that the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie is coming out? You absolutely could. We're just not tonight. So there's the botanist. Next up is it says 1 ounce light rum. Thanks, light rum. I could reach over and go back to the Angostura 1919. I'm sure that would be a fine choice in a light rum here. Although if you want to preserve the coloration of this, you should probably go with something that's clear. So here's a case where the Bacardi Superior would come in handy if you wanted to do something along those lines. I'm actually going to muck with the color base on this just a little bit. When I travel, and I am going to be traveling with alcohol, which I don't generally do. I generally like to buy my alcohol wherever I go. But if I know I'm not going to get a chance to do that, or I'm not throwing some sort of party where I need a full 750 or something along those lines, I will often carry this little guy, which carries a couple of flasks in it. And here we go. I generally fill this with whatever strikes my fancy at the time or fits with whatever cocktails I am making at said event. And in this case, I brought this, which is filled with the Hamilton Beach Bum Berries Zombie Blend. And then this one, which, while the label still says Plantation 3-star, I scratched that out. It's actually got Ron de Barrilito 3-star in it. And that's what I'm going to use, the Ron de Barrilito, for this, which is why I pulled it out. So we need 1 ounce of Ron de Barrilito, high quality Puerto Rican rum. Good stuff. We have multiple bottles of it. If we see it under $40, we buy a bottle. It's just that good. There we go. Now, my understanding is Ron de Barrilito is not actually distilling anymore, that they have switched over to being an independent bottler. So they blend their own and bottle it their own. They don't actually distill it. But we've had friends that have gone to the Ron de Barrilito distillery recently, so I don't know what to believe between those two. So what usually goes in this afterwards is two drops of almond extract. I don't keep almond extract on my bar. What I do keep is orgeat. Yes, I have my homemade orgeat right here. And it's not going to be as strong as the 2 drops of almond extract that you would normally have. So as a consequence, we are going with more than drops. We are going to hit the button here so I don't lose my video again. We're going to take this and use the bar spoon. There we go. And I'm going to go 1 and 2 bar spoons of orgeat. Why am I using orgeat when it says almond extract? Well, because orgeat is an almond milk syrup. So if you want that almond flavor and you don't have almond extract on hand, there you go. That's how we're going to do this. So then this, I did it again. These 3 drinks are actually supposed to be done in 3 different ways. 1 is supposed to be shaken, 1 is supposed to be stirred, and 1 is
Blended?
Blended. I'm not blending in a glass. Yeah, I'm just not blending in a glass. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not blending in a glass. It says 6 ounces of crushed or pebble ice. So there's 3, just like that. And then we're going to go here, and we're going to go another 3. And part of the reason for the blending, I'm sure, is because this drink calls for raw mango. And, well, I just don't have any need to blend it for that long, especially since it says blend it for like 20 to 30 seconds. There's just no way I need to do that. So happy circumstance. I'm just going to go ahead and shake this instead of using a blender on it. So here we go. We are going to shake this for about 10-15 seconds. There we go. Nice. Cold. I can't hear out of my right ear anymore because of the ice shifting back and forth. It's got a little bit of foam on it. Oh, that smells delightful. We're going to go ahead and put this in yet another Mai Tai glass. What do we got down here? Sure. We have a Mai Tai glass from the Limbo. The Limbo. There you go. The Limbo. Where the heck is the Limbo?
The Limbo is in Colorado.
We got this glass from some other means. Open pour. There we go.
Limbo Tiki
Are
Bar.
in Louisville.
Oh, you got this from
Yeah.
your visit to the Limbo
Yes.
in. That's how. I'm like, why?
Oh no!
Oh no, the Limbo's closed, isn't
They're
it?
closed.
Are they just closed tonight?
Permanently closed.
Oh man. Oh, now I'm bummed. I never made it appropriate, now that we've found that they're going out of business, or have gone out of business, is to use a straw that has a pride flag on it. So there you go. There's a straw, pride flag, also Surfside Sips. You can garnish this 8 number of ways to Sunday, however you would like. I'm going to reach in and grab something. I have a bunch of dehydrated fruit in here. Not fruit, they're it's dehydrated wheels of citrus. And this container keeps them fairly fresh, which is very nice. And I'm going to take one of these, which looks kind of disgusting. This is a dehydrated lime wheel, but before it went in the dehydrator, I soaked it in Angostura. So that's going to go right in there. Another trick, if you have leftover bitters of whatever sort, even if you're not a particularly big fan of that bitter, you can like soak your lime wheels, lemon wheels, etc. in that bitters and then put them in your dehydrator, and it'll add just a whole new complexity to that particular wedge or wheel. So there we go. This is Quarantiki's version of the tropical itch, and we're going to try this. Well, that'll be the last I see of that. That's tasty. It's a very different flavor profile than anything we've had here tonight, and kind of a different flavor profile from.
Ooh.
Yeah, see? Yeah, it's going away. I'm not seeing that one again. You're also not kicking back the cardamom drink, which means, I'm going to
Yeah.
have a lot of
So we
cocktails
have.
tonight. What do we
I
have?
mean, come over here.
We have questions. We have comments. We have we have what? Oh, we have stuff.
Artwork.
Right. Oh, so this is stuff that we got from the convention, right?
Yeah.
So here's the artwork that Star bought.
Which is a Ray Van Tilburg, which,
We love Ray.
in fact, the
That's a-
Lovecraft cocktail over there is.
Yep, this is a Ray Van Tilburg, which I have to be careful here because this sometimes decides it wants to leap off of the backing. And so apparently Star did run up the stairs. And
Well, this is from Silent Gifts. I'll put a link.
so here, let me take that. Shove that in there. Not sure if that's better or worse, but there's. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Cthulhu on that. And if you want, Hun, if you go into the cabinet there where all the fancy dancy shot glasses are, you'll see toward the bottom there is a Cthulhu shot glass. And they are in fact different.
So there's this one.
I like that. Yep. Yeah, so this is the one I was comparing it to. So here you go. You've got this guy who is about the same height and round, much larger image on it. Very similar images, but this one is a little more square. Right? Yep. There you go. So now I'm back to having two Cthulhu Not tiki mugs. Shot glasses. That's what I was looking for. All right. What else is there? Oh my gosh. So many things. So many things. I am happy to be home and happy to not be traveling for a while. So I was all prepared to make Mai Tais this weekend at the convention. It didn't happen. So I'm going to sit down with my slow crawl to death and slowly crawl off to sleep this evening. Thank you all for tuning in.
I linked silent gifts.
All right, awesome. Comments, questions, anything that I should be replying to before I tell you goodnight all? We're going to go... Nope. Everyone's good? All right, so we will sign off with our usual sign off, which is remember that the end is nigh. And we're going to sign off, and we will talk to you next weekend. Do I have any idea what we're going to do next weekend? No.
But we will have a studio audience member.
We will, in fact, have a studio audience member. That is
Some future roommate.
that is in the plans. That is in the plans to have a studio guest next week. So look forward to that. You've seen her on the show before, and she's now returning. So we will talk to you all next week. The end is nigh. This is Lovecraft Cocktails signing off. Episode number 157. Wait. Does that mean we missed it? We missed the 3-year mark.
We did.
Rowan's episode was the 3-year mark.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. When we first started doing this, she was just 18. All right, y'all. We will talk to you next week. Adios, goodbye, and remember to love your craft cocktails, I guess. Ending live video now.